So I didn't show the Sheen stem yet in Akkadian, but it's exactly the same as the D stem. So Upagris is just like Ushapris, Tushapris, sorry, Tushaprisi, Ushapris, Tushapris, and so forth. And the derivative is exactly the same. Ushapras, Ushapras, Ushaprasi, Ushapras, and so forth. So these two stems have the exact same conjugation. Now, in case you don't remember, in modern South Arabian, the whole thing of morphological gemination went through a lot of problems, and at least in many of the forms, it was simplified. So there is no real D stem or L stem either. There's, but not only that, the D and L stem have probably died out, while their causative variant, which is parallel to the Sheen D in Akkadian, or something like CD and CL in Ge'ez, is somehow retained. So there is no D or L in modern South Arabian, although some people will call these stems D or L, but there's actually H1 stem, which is the regular causative stem, and the other ones are other causative stems, H2, H3, H4, H5, and so on. So if we look at the Sheen stem or H stem in modern South Arabian, in the subjunctive, for example, so we have لهفعل, لهفعله, نهفعل, تهفعل, تهفعله, تهفعلم, تهيفعل, تهفعلم, يهفعل, يهفعله, يهفعلم, تهفعل, تهفعله, تهفعلم. Does this look like the Akkadian one, the Ushapris, in your opinion?
I think yes, because Hey is with coordinates here with Sheen in Akkadic.
Yep, I completely agree. I think it's exactly identical. Like, other than in modern South Arabian, the L is added in the subjunctive before the first person. Other than that, it's exactly the same. The other languages have less beautiful paradigms of this stem because they lose the H in at least some of the forms, like practically almost all other Western Semitic languages. But Omani Mehri retains this H beautifully in this exact same pattern as we see in Akkadian. And then, so we can reconstruct this for something like Luhafil, Tuhafil, Tuhafili, Yuhafil, Tuhafil, and so forth. The imperfect, oh wait, no. Where did it go? Okay.
I think there is a problem with the. Okay, it's good now. No.
Yeah, seconding, but there's an audio problem. Just getting like a repeating from
I think it's
the room.
sweet.
But like when I talk, I can see the micro. Maybe unmute, maybe mute, unmute. Just try
I
that.
can hear you now.
Yeah, does that help?
No.
Now let's
Now I hear voice.
oh really? You do hear? Now you can hear? People can hear now. Oh wow, that was the trick with the mute unmute. That was amazing. Okay, now I'm gonna have to start testing you. Wait, chat can hear you now. Great. I'm gonna have to start testing you to see if I've been successful in teaching anything. So from what you've seen so far about Semitic languages, if you had to guess what was the she form of this verbal conjugation, so she will do, what would you guess it would look like if these are the other forms? تهفعل تهفعل تهفعيل يهفعول. It's a trick question. There's still no video.
تهفعيل.
Almost. The tef'il is you feminine, but it's just tef'ul, so it's always the same as the second person masculine singular. Still no video. Amazing. So that's that, and the duals are hafalo and so on, which is pretty much the same as the subjunctive, and the plurals are mef'ul, tef'il, tef'ulen, yef'il, sorry, tef'ulen. So, do you believe this form coincides or works well with the Akkadian evidence? Does it look kind of like Ushaplas? So yeah, I think so too. How would we make this camera work again?
No idea.
Incredible. Maybe I'll just. Okay, worst case scenario, we'll just leave it at this. Anyway, so back to the slides. So my reconstruction of these forms like yef'ul, tef'ul, yef'il, and so on would be, wait, something like this. Oh, now there's video. Nice. Okay, so my reconstruction would be something like this. Indeed, not do, sorry, no or nothing. And so on. So yes, I believe the H1 stem in modern South Arabian is the exact parallel of the Shin stem in Akkadian. So the prima waw we already discussed. What happens with the prima waw in Ge'ez? Does anyone want to guess? Because Ge'ez does not fail to surprise again, and it has nothing like the other languages, namely Akkadian and Modern South Arabian. So in Akkadian, there's this E ablaut, like in the D and Shin stems. In Ge'ez, we have this ablaut, but it's vice versa. So the Jussive has A, where it should have had E. So irad, tirad, mirad, and so on. May you go down, may I go down, or something like that. While the imperfect is just completely regular, tuwarrid, with no A. Is this clear? Any question? Any remark? Any, I don't know, attempt to understand? Insight? Nothing. Okay, so in modern South Arabian, for example, in Jibali, we can see this prima waw conjugation. Once again, may I stand or something? Stand? Yeah, I think so. L'kaf, l'kaf, l'kif, l'kaf, l'kaf, l'kafo, 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 l'kaf, l'kaf, l'kafan, l'kaf, l'kafan. So what do you think about the vowel scheme here? Does it look more like the one in Ge'ez, or does it look like more the one in Akkadian? Probably already said the answer. My question is, does this look more like an Ibris or an Ibras?
Like Ypres?
Yes, yes, I agree completely. This looks much more like Ibris than Ibras. And we have Ibras in modern South Arabian from the GB. So we know that this is not the way it looks. It should have been like something like Lekov or something like that. And then in the subjunctive, in the subjunctive, this is pretty much what I would reconstruct, something like Lakif or Likif or something like that, and so on. And the imperfect has this, kof, the kof, the kif, yikof, the kof, and so on. So just like Akkadian, no wow, and ia ablaut. And just not like Ge'ez, which has neither of those. It has the wow in the imperfect, and it does not present the same ablaut. Is everything clear? I'm sure that there's a question now. Come on. This has come to a point where if we were in class, I would spray water on people to make them react. What do you think? Please. I'll just wait otherwise. Is everyone convinced now that modern South Arabian is a little bit more similar to Akkadian than Ge'ez is in some aspects? I hope. At least in the vowel classes. Isn't it amazing that modern South Arabian is so pretentious, or I don't know, conservative, that it retains such a structure from so many thousand years ago that no other Semitic language has retained. So I like it. Any question?
Could it be influenced by Akkadian or by something like that?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a very good question. There are several isoglosses between modern South Arabian and Akkadian, but I think that geographically they're quite distant. So I would feel more comfortable saying that it's probably shared retention than influence. But I cannot completely rule that out because Akkadian also had a very important status in the whole region, the whole area.
How much do we know about the prehistory of modern South Arabian? So I'm just thinking about saying they're geographically quite distant. Obviously, they are today, but is it possible that the modern South Arabian languages were originally spoken further north?
Well, it's very, very hard to tell. I think that genetically, it does not seem that way. Like those are indigenous peoples from that area, and they have genetics that are, I think, more archaic or less involved with other groups of the same family, so to speak. But we don't know anything about the prehistory of it. There are several accounts in Islamic history that or Arabic history of languages spoken in that area, but none of them really feels the same as modern South Arabian. But we know that there were many languages spoken, many different languages spoken in that area. So at least 3 different Semitic type of languages, like Old South Arabian, Modern South Arabian, and Ethio-Semitic or Proto-Ethio-Semitic, which must have all been distinct, and they were all in that area. So I don't know, but it is generally assumed that these peoples were there for a long time before we know. Any other question? Okay. So yeah, this is kind of like the Ushab, I believe. Okay, just to continue with the survey on Akkadian morphology and stuff like that. So I think I've already spoken about most of the suffixes, but the possessive ones I haven't mentioned, but they're pretty much the same as the other ones with slight differences. It's nice that there's the E and Ya distinction in the first person singular, which is a case distinction, I think, or maybe half case, half phonological, depends on what happened, what occurs before the suffix. But all the others have just one form of the suffix, generally speaking. And okay, I guess, of course, it's important to say that these suffixes with the kaf definitely played a significant role in the fact that in modern and Old South Arabian and in Ethio-Semitic, we have this kaf in the suffix conjugation as well. So the connection between the kaf and the second person begins here in these possessive suffixes and or accusative ones. And then there's the dative suffixes, which are weird and do not occur in any other Semitic language other than Akkadian and Eblite. One of them is suspiciously similar to the ventive morpheme of Akkadian, not going to say which, but I don't know anything about that except that. So if I'm not mistaken, all of these sheens in the plural forms, niyashim, kunushim, kinashim, shunushim, shinashim, are characteristic of Babylonian Akkadian, while Assyrian has taf instead of that sheen, so kunuti, kinati, shunuti, shinati, I think, right?
Yes.
Thank you. And there are also the dative independent pronouns, and they have sheen all over, both in the singular and in the plural. Once again, in the plural, in Assyrian, it has taf instead of sheen, so niati and so forth. But in the singular, it does have sheen, yashi, kashi, kashim, shuashim, shiashim, shuashim. So these have been connected by scholars to the terminative suffix ish in Akkadian. I don't know, I think it's quite convincing, but I don't know exactly. Which is also connected by some to different terminative suffixes or dative suffixes also in Afro-Asiatic with an S. Is everything clear? Is there any question?
What are you putting the question marks in dative independent pronouns and terminative?
Because they're really weird. They're just so different from other Semitic languages. There is no dative in Semitic languages other than Akkadian at all. And there's barely any dative in Akkadian, only pronouns. So very weird, very, very weird. That's why I am concerned by it. But you're right, it's not like they're doubtful or something like that. I just, their origin is doubtful, their origin story. Yeah, so, and then you asked also specifically on the construct state, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the different languages. So in Akkadian, you have two different construct states according to case. So usually the vowel after, like the case vowel is dropped and the mimation is dropped. So in the nominative and the accusative, it's just mal shiprim, for example, son of shipment or something like that, which means delivery boy. I don't know what. Yeah, messenger, delivery boy, literally. Yeah, boy of delivery. Shal Alim, king of the town. Kalab Alim, the dog of the town. So in Shal and in Kalab, we can see weird things. So like this form should have been Sharum, right? In the absolute state. But in the construct state, it loses its gemination. But that's not like the rule with most geminated words. With words that have this consonant cluster, so kalbum, it changes to kalab. But I wonder how good we know this, because if it were kalb, there was no way to write it in cuneiform, right? So they would have to add any vowel. But I guess the fact that they always add the a vowel makes it more likely that it was an actual epenthetic vowel there. And finally, what usually happens with a word that ends with a geminate is that after the geminate, there is an epenthetic E vowel. Is this clear? So the construct, yeah, sorry.
Only if the stem has only one syllable, then you add E. If the stem has two or more syllables, you just drop the double consonant.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Double consonant.
So yeah, so it's usually simplification or other than, yeah, more basic words. Thank you. So in the genitive, there's not really much to talk about. It's just the same with the E vowel. So the mimation is dropped, but there's an E vowel. So Ana Mari Shiprim or something like that. And it's also the same before genitive nouns and possessive pronouns. So the same Malka for the nominative and accusative, your son, Marika for the genitive. Is everything clear? Okay. In Ge'ez, it's weird. The construct state is always in the accusative. So the accusative case is half accusative case, half construct state case. So, for example, the heart of the country or something like that would be Liba Hagar, regardless of where it is in the sentence and what syntactic function it has. Even if it's a subject or a genitive, it gets the accusative suffix, or the man's dog, kalbasab, and so on. So the fact that there is no genitive case is not very surprising, because these short E and U vowels were lost in many environments in Ge'ez. But the fact that this I is added, or any noun would inflect as accusative when it's in the construct states. That's weird. Any question? No?
Sorry.
Yeah.
In Akkadian, in status constructus, before the personal suffix, you also have R, if it's in nominative or accusative, like libaka.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Right.
But I don't know how can you be sure that this R here indicates accusative and not just the auxiliary vowel.
In Gez, you mean?
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. It could be completely unrelated to the accusative, but it's identical to it.
Yeah.
So this suffix is the accusative suffix / the construct state suffix. So yeah, could be completely separate. But I don't know. You're right. Sometimes you do add in Akkadian as well. That's also weird. But it doesn't happen in Gez before possessive pronouns. So it would be libika or something like that, I think, and not libaka. Okay, any other question? Okay, in Arabic, it's the most elegant system. So just the construct state has the regular case. It does not receive nunation, but it has regular case. So kalbul waladi, the dog of the boy. Ra'aytu kalbal waladi, I saw the dog of the boy. Dhahabtu ma'a kalb, should have been ma'a, sorry. Kalbil waladi, I walked with the dog's boy, the boy's dog, the dog of the boy. So the construct state can be with the nominative suffix or the accusative suffix or the genitive suffix, and it is dictated only by its syntactic function. Any question? Okay, so in Hebrew, where there's no case, for example, but some of these sentences also apply to Akkadian, to Aramaic. What we see in the construct state is mainly a stress shift. So, like for example, if we have a word like daval, thing, or saying, or something like that. So, davar. In the construct state, it would be dvar, with or without a mobile schwa, does not matter. What matters is that this vowel was syncopated and this vowel was shortened, or rather maybe the vowel that was lengthened here was no longer lengthened here. So this is what happens when the stress shifts. When the stress goes to essentially the next word. So in Hebrew, the construct state is in general thought of as one stress unit and the stress at the end. Was that clear?
I have a question. You mean that when you say it, dvar, that is the meaning is davar of something?
Dvar, yeah, dvar is in Hebrew is the construct state, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like davar jel yeladim becomes dvar yeladim?
Not in modern Hebrew that much, but in biblical Hebrew, yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
In modern Hebrew, it's a little bit more different, a little bit more complicated, but and the last thing is that also in Aramaic and in most dialects of Arabic, certain suffixes resurface in the construct state. The feminine suffix is the most prominent example of this. So in Hebrew, the feminine suffix is just a usually. So for example, yeled, yalda. But if I want to say the girl of the village, it would be yaldat. hakfa, with the at resurfacing. Same thing in Arabic. Madrasa, school, madrasat, ulum, something like that, school of sciences. Same thing in Aramaic. In Aramaic, this feminine suffix was dropped in other environments as well. So, for example, you can do before the definite article was generalized. You could have done something like galu, like exile, which turns in the construct state to galuf with the taf. So the taf of the feminine suffix resurfaces in the construct state and also before possessive suffixes. Is everything clear? Any question before we move on to talk about the next thing? Nothing.
Could you elaborate of
Okay.
the modern Hebrew? You said it's a
Sorry?
little bit different. Could you explain the difference between the biblical Hebrew and the modern Hebrew?
So in modern Hebrew, construct state is used mostly in what we call frozen expressions. Not only, there are some places where we actually use it productively, both construct state and the possessive pronoun, but it's usually limited to several specific lexical items. For example, age or some family members, but not all of them. So spouse, yes, but parents, no. Siblings, yes, but children, no. So you can say akhi, akhoti, my brother, my sister, with no problem at all, and it's not weird at all. But if you say bni or avi, that's really weird in modern Hebrew. So yeah, a lot of these things. Yeah, exactly. Abba sheli, Abba sheli.
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of these things have become lexicalized to some extent, but we still sometimes use the construct state as well. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about was what we can call length metathesis or mora juxtaposition. Does anyone remember what a mora is?
Like one phonological length unit.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, or weight unit. Yeah. So so if you remember the scheme of the syllable, if we have a syllable with an onset and a vowel and a coda, what here counts as a mora? So what counts as a mora here is the vowel, first and foremost, and in Semitic languages, also the consonant, the coda. So in a syllable that has one vowel or a short vowel and one consonant in the end, it has two moras. So in the Akkadian inflection of the D of middle weak roots, we can see an interesting phenomenon. Also, it happens in the G in some places, that I have proven ukin, you have proven tukin, but you masculine singular, you feminine singular have proven tukinni. So the forms that have no suffix have a long vowel, and the forms that do have a suffix have a long consonant. So this can be considered as some kind of compensatory lengthening of, like, if you don't want to lengthen the last consonant, you can instead lengthen the vowel. Any question regarding this? No, nothing? Okay, so we will see similar phenomena in other Semitic languages. So for example, in Hebrew, you have this in the D of middle weak as well, but differently. So the D for sound roots is fi'il, yifa'il, with a gemination of the second radical. But for middle weak verbs, there are several inflection schemes, but one of them is polel, yipolel. So instead of yakawem, for example, you have yakomem. So instead of geminating the second consonant, which is the vav, the third consonant is not even geminated, it's reduplicated. But this is still some kind of more juxtaposition. Is everything clear? Okay, how about we take a 5-minute break and then we'll return and talk a little bit more about this. Is everyone cool with that? Hopefully, yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll see you in 5 minutes.